everybody! So this ear is a little bit plugged up, so I hope that doesn't throw off my voice too much, but we have a lot to cover, so I am mostly going to be reading from a Word doc that I wrote on this computer, and that just means that there's going to be a little bit of scrolling here and there, but it's only because I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. So, oh yeah, and also, I am often going to be saying you when I really mean me, because these were mistakes that I made and that I hope you don't also make. So now, here we go. So it is estimated that 80 to 90% of visible skin aging is really sun damage. And yet, I did not start taking sun protection seriously until about 18 years ago, when I was literally 18 years old. But as soon as I got started, I researched everything that I could. So the mistakes that I ended up making are not beginner mistakes. However, they are mistakes that a lot of people make. And unfortunately, I still even make some of these mistakes on myself just for logistical reasons. So I've grouped these in a way that makes sense to me, and that means that they're not necessarily in chronological order, but let's get started. Number 1, thinking only SPF matters. This is why it bugs me so much when people use the terms SPF and sunscreen interchangeably. SPF only measures protection from a sun burn. This means that SPF is really only measuring protection from UVB rays. A teeny bit of UVA is needed to get you to an SPF of about 11 because shorter wavelength UVA can contribute to burning. But that is it. So if you're actually trying to prevent the signs of aging, SPF is not going to give you the information that you really need. Number 2, relying on avobenzone for UVA protection. In the US, avobenzone is the only approved non-mineral UVA filter. However, avobenzone is extremely unstable and it starts degrading rapidly as soon as you're exposed to the sun. And even the newer formulations that are meant to stabilize avobenzone, they might buy you some time, but they're still going to degrade much more rapidly than a mineral sunscreen would. And in case you're wondering, the mineral sunscreens are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, with zinc oxide being the one that offers good UVA protection. Number 3, thinking all UVA protection is equal. In the US, we do not quantify UVA protection. Other countries have things like PA ratings that are like SPF, but for UVA. In this country, any sunscreen that meets a relatively low threshold for UVA protection can be labeled broad spectrum, and that is all the info that we, the consumers, get. So we really just have to surmise from other factors how good a sunscreen is, and some of those factors will be mentioned in this video. So mistake number 4, thinking higher SPF is better. We've already established that SPF only really measures UVB, but UVB does contribute a little bit to aging. However, properly applied sunscreen with just SPF 30 blocks 97% of UVB rays, so higher numbers are really not necessary. Now, a lot of dermatologists do say that higher is better, but that's just because the higher numbers make up for the fact that most people do not apply enough sunscreen. Which brings me to number 5, not using enough sunscreen. You need 2 grams per square centimeter of skin to reach a sunscreen's labeled level of protection. This translates to about 1/4 teaspoon on your face alone. Personally, to ensure full coverage, I now use a sanitized measuring spoon when I put on my sunscreen. I also like a slightly white cast rather than a clear or accurately tinted sunscreen because I can clearly see where it's going and when I have a thick and even layer of it. Number 6, mixing the sunscreens or topping one sunscreen with another before the first one has dried. This can lead to the active ingredients not distributing properly across your skin. Number 7, applying makeup over sunscreen. A lot of people say that after the sunscreen film has dried, adding makeup is perfectly fine. But I think it's fair to deduce that applying anything on top of a layer of sunscreen could disrupt that film. After all, it's not concrete, it's not set in stone, so it could still be moved around. Number 8, on a similar vein, this mistake was applying sunscreen powder to wet sunscreen in an attempt to lessen the shine. Again, some of that film can and will come off on the applicator, just like with makeup, and there is no guarantee that the sunscreen powder deposited on your skin is going to actually make up for that. So mistake number 9, not realizing that I needed to wear sunscreen inside because UVA does go through window glass. The only exception to this is if the glass has been treated with a UVA blocking film, but that's definitely not standard practice. Now, the next 6 tips are all going to be about skipped areas, but each one of these was its own revelation to me, so that's why I'm separating them out. Number 10, for years, I skipped my entire eye area. Eyelids, under eyes, crow's feet area, teardrop area, and eyebrows. This mistake really makes me sad because when my eyes are hidden behind sunglasses, I sometimes get mistaken for a 19 or 20-year-old. So if all of this area here wasn't sun damaged, my whole face might look 19 or 20 years old. And that's really a missed opportunity. So, oh, by the way, I could talk about mistakes that I've made with sunglasses in another video because most sunglasses don't actually fully protect you. And that's something that if you want to, oh golly, I hope I don't have to try to edit this. Let me just back it up a bit. So most sunglasses don't fully protect you. So if you just let me know in the comments, I can make another video about that. So hopefully that's going to save me some editing. Number 11, not thinking I needed to wear a lip sunscreen. And even once I did realize this, not getting one with reliable UVA protection. Even if I had thought of this sooner, very few lip balms offer broad spectrum protection. And of those, almost all of the affordable ones use avobenzone. I myself currently use 2 mineral lip sunscreens, and I'm not particularly fond of either one of them. This is a mistake where I feel like the cosmetics industry is really failing all of us. So we aren't really responsible for this mistake because there's not a whole lot we can do about it. So number 12, skipping my philtrum, which is the area right here. So for some reason, I never actually thought of it until I noticed the wrinkles above an older relative's lips. I've been protecting my philtrum ever since. Number 13, skipping the neck and the upper chest. This was another revelation that came from observing the skin of older people. I actually still skip the back of my neck as well as the rest of my body, but everything from here to here is covered with the exception of my ears, and that's just because I feel like slathering sunscreen on my ears just isn't worth it. Yeah. So number 14, skipping the glabella, which is this area here, and the nose. I realized I was skipping these areas because they actually got burned at a baseball game. more you know. Number 15, not spreading my sunscreen out to my ears. This changed when I realized that sagging skin in this area could actually translate to a sagging of my entire face. From that moment forward, I have always spread my sunscreen straight to my earlobes. All right. Mistake number 16, allowing botanicals or fragrance into my sunscreen. As these things degrade, they can cause damage, including photodermatitis. And in fact, my nutritional biochemistry professor a few years back shared the fun fact that spilling lime juice on yourself can cause a rash when you're in the sun. I already knew that because I am a nerd. The other problem with natural ingredients, as well as fragrance, is that they are not pure substances. Their chemical compositions can vary from batch to batch, so a product that doesn't harm your skin now might still do so the next time you buy it. Nonetheless, I myself still actually use a botanical tinted sunscreen because I just haven't found an affordable substitute for it. Number 17, stocking up on sunscreen. Remember, mistake number 17, stocking up on sunscreen. All sunscreens degrade, even the mineral ones, unfortunately. By law, under ideal storage conditions, a sunscreen should be able to retain its original strength for 3 years. But heat, humidity, sunlight, etc. are all going to cut down on that shelf life. So, according to many dermatologists, you should not keep a sunscreen for longer than 1 year. So, replace it every season if you don't run out sooner than that. Number 18, thinking that micronized or nanoparticle zinc which is more cosmetically elegant, is just as effective as traditional large particle zinc. I know traditional large particle zinc is white, it's sticky, thick, all that stuff, but it does a really good job comparatively of protecting you against UVA. So the smaller your particles, the less UVA protection you're getting, sadly. Number 19, thinking that streakiness, pilling, and balling are just cosmetic issues. In addition to being visible evidence that your protection is not evenly spread out, these areas can chip off, and that leaves those areas completely exposed to the sun, which is obviously a problem. Mistake number 20, not reapplying. So it turns out that even mineral sunscreens need to be reapplied. They are not just inert shields that UV rays bounce off of. In reality, even though I didn't want to accept this, they primarily absorb UVA much the same way that other sunscreens do. And for this reason, they also degrade, just not as quickly. Plus, things like your skin's natural oils are going to create microscopic holes in that sunscreen film, and that's going to mean that you need to reapply anyway. So, final mistake, number 21, thinking that sunscreen is enough. Sunscreen is an important part of preventing sun damage. However, it cannot prevent all sun damage. Avoiding exposure in the first place is the best step that you can take. But several things can increase your protection exponentially. Examples are well-designed sunglasses, UV blocking window film, certain dietary habits, and umbrellas, hats, clothing, and curtains that have UPF 50 plus ratings from reputable entities. So those are 21 mistakes that I have made since I got serious about sunscreen literally half a lifetime ago. I hope that y'all be able to take some tips from this so that you can avoid unnecessary signs of aging. And since this video is just about sunscreen, I can do a more general sun protection video if you guys want to watch that. Just let me know down in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, maybe share down below what mistakes you've made, and if you're feeling extra generous, please subscribe. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I hope you have a great day.